If you have been following the fintech landscape for the last decade, you probably know the company formerly known as Square. Maybe you think of them as the company that made those white credit card readers you see at your local coffee shop. Or perhaps you know them for Cash App, the peer-to-peer payment app that took pop culture by storm. But if we look closely at the financial documents from 2024 and the quarterly earnings throughout 2025, specifically the third quarter results, it becomes clear that this company has evolved into something far more complex and ambitious. We are no longer looking at just a payments processor. We are witnessing the construction of a self-sustaining financial ecosystem that bridges the gap between consumers and merchants in a way no other company has managed to do. Today, we are going to deconstruct Block, Inc., analyzing their pivot to profitable growth, the unification of their ecosystem, and why their strategy for 2026 and beyond could fundamentally change how money moves around the world. To understand the future of Block, we first have to address the massive shift in their financial philosophy that solidified in 2025. For years, this was a company criticized for growth at all costs, often sacrificing profitability to acquire users. However, the data from the 2025 fiscal year tells a completely different story. We have seen a disciplined execution of the Rule of 40 framework, where the combination of gross profit growth and adjusted operating income margin has become the North Star. In the third quarter of 2025 alone, we saw net income attributable to common stockholders hit roughly $538 million. This is not a one-off event. It is a trend. The company has successfully proven that it can expand its margins while still growing its gross profit at a healthy clip. This signals to long-term investors that the business model has matured. They are no longer burning cash to grow. They are generating cash to reinvest. Let's dive into the first major engine of this growth, Square, the seller ecosystem. The narrative here has shifted from micro-merchants to up-market growth. In the past, Square was for the hobbyist or the food truck. Today, the data shows that a significant portion of their gross profit comes from sellers generating over $500,000 in annual volume. Why is this happening? Because Square is no longer just processing payments. They are selling vertical software specialized tools for restaurants, retail, and appointments. When a restaurant uses Square for its kitchen display system, its payroll, and its loyalty program, it becomes incredibly difficult for them to switch to a competitor. This stickiness is the moat. Furthermore, the international expansion we tracked through 2024 and 2025 is paying off. Markets outside the US are growing faster than the domestic market, providing a long runway for future expansion that many analysts overlook. Now, let's turn our attention to the second, and arguably more explosive engine, Cash App. If you still think of Cash App as just a way to split a dinner bill, you are missing the bigger picture. The strategy here is bank the base. Block is systematically converting Cash App from a peer-to-peer utility into a primary bank account for millions of Americans. The key metric to watch here is inflows per transacting active. The 2025 reports highlight that when users deposit their paychecks directly into Cash App, their lifetime value skyrockets. They use the Cash App card more, they use the borrowing features, and they engage with the investing platform. The vision is to capture the entire financial life of a consumer from receiving their income to spending it, saving it, and investing it. The monetization rate has been creeping up, proving that users are willing to pay for these banking services because the user experience is simply superior to traditional banks. But the real magic trick, and the core of the future growth thesis, lies in connecting these two ecosystems. Square and Cash App, this is the holy grail of fintech. Imagine a world where a Cash App user gets a special offer from a local Square merchant, pays with their Cash App balance, and uses Buy Now, Pay Later, powered by Afterpay, all in one seamless transaction. The integration of Afterpay was the bridge. In 2025, we started to see the real fruits of this integration. It is not just about lending. It is about commerce discovery. Block is building a local commerce search engine inside Cash App. When you open the app, you don't just see your balance. You see merchants around you. This closes the loop. It drives traffic to Square sellers and gives Cash App users exclusive benefits. No other competitor has this two-sided network of millions of sellers and tens of millions of consumers. This closed-loop network is the most significant competitive advantage Block possesses for the next decade. We must also touch upon the wild cards. In their portfolio, the Bitcoin initiatives like Spiral and TBD, while these do not contribute heavily to the Bottom line right now, they represent a call option on the future of the global financial system. TBD is building an open developer platform to make it easier to move money globally, bypassing legacy banking rails. If the world moves toward decentralized finance, Block is positioned not just to participate, but to build the infrastructure. This is a long-term bet, similar to how Amazon Web Services was a side bet for Amazon in the early days. It shows that the management is thinking 10 years ahead, not just to the next quarter. Finally, let's discuss the risks and the verdict. Regulation is always a shadow over fintech, especially with crypto assets and consumer lending. However, Block's proactive approach to compliance and their sheer scale provides a buffer that smaller startups don't have. Financially, the 2025 reports show a company that has turned the corner. The volatility in their stock price often distracts from the consistency of their gross profit growth. For an investor looking at future growth, the thesis is clear. Block is building the operating system for the economy. They are empowering sellers to run their businesses and empowering individuals to manage their financial lives. And they are the only ones connecting the two. As they continue to drive efficiency and cross-pollinate their ecosystems, the potential for compounding growth is undeniable. We are looking at a digital bank, a software giant, and a next-generation payment network, all wrapped in one ticker symbol. The transformation we witnessed in 2025 was just the beginning of this new chapter.